Yeah, so as Teddy just said, you have some special guests you'd like to...
Oh my God, Jeanne, Rizzo, and Pali Cooper. Is this on or not?
You're not on. That's not on.
How do you turn it on?
You want to take that one?
And we have a special guest here, Hank Plante. Come here, Hank Plante. If you don't know Hank Plante, he was a reporter for KPX back during the entire issue with following Gavin and the whole marriage equality movement. So Hank and I, great to see you, buddy. Come on in. And thanks for sticking around. Hank, have a seat. Come on. I mean, when's the last time you've been interviewed? Hank, how you been? How are things these days?
Doing great, thanks.
Yeah, good. All right. And where's Mike Shaw?
Mike Shaw was just...
I got another chair here.
Oh, where'd Mike go?
Wherever he is. He's getting his hat, I think.
Wait, thank you all for coming out. I want to thank Teddy. Teddy, thank you for coming out. Come here. Teddy. AmDocs, everybody. I mean, we haven't seen this film in decades, almost, 16 years in Teddy. We love you, buddy.
Working. Can you hear that?
I feel like we're in the Usual Suspects lineup.
Okay. Let's get it going.
All right.
Thank you, Teddy. Can everybody hear me? Is this microphone working? Yeah. Can you hear it okay? It's a bit quiet. It's a little bit quiet, I
You
think.
can go a little louder, but I'm really worried
Yeah.
about lately. Can you get all this in, or how are you going to go back and forth?
We'll
Get it-
do the
can we
best
get
we
it a bit
can.
louder? Or do we have another microphone?
Well, you can take Jeff's.
Yeah.
And really quick, I want to say thank you to the Supple Foundation. Where's Abby? There she is. And her sisters, of course, and NBC3 and all the other affiliates. Appreciate you. But, anyway.
I think that microphone works the best.
Oh.
We're going to pass it down.
So,
Is the orange one working as well?
Is this working?
No.
No. I think we only have one mic that actually covers the whole room, so we'll kind of improvise it.
That might be a good thing.
Okay, so hi everybody. My name is Neil. As Teddy said, it's a great honor and a pleasure to be on stage with these amazing people that we just watched in this remarkable film. I've seen many thousands of films in my life. I've never heard so many different pieces of applause through a film. This was being applauded every time. Every time there was an inspirational comment or something nice was happening, there was applause in the room. So give them another big round of applause. I think we should talk, first of all, a little bit about the background of the film and how you got such amazing access to Gavin Newsom. The documentary cinema is often all about access, and if you have a way of getting access, this is always wonderful. How did you get such close access to Gavin Newsom, and what was your connection with him? Here comes the mic.
I think it's time for Leighton to get the camera on me. Come on, Leighton.
Come on.
So, I married Gavin's sister 2001, I think. And when he was a nobody, he was a simple supervisor. He was doing great things as a supervisor, but he wasn't who he was today. And basically, to make it short, when he started running for mayor, I said to him, who's going to film your mayoral campaign? And I had been doing a lot of acting and producing, and Mike and I had been doing Super Bowl commercials and all this kind of great stuff. And he's like, I don't have any money to do it, so I can't do it. And I was like, well, darn it, I guess Mike and I will do it for you. And so we documented his entire mayoral campaign, which is actually pretty interesting, and maybe someday we'll make it. But after he became mayor, I had lunch with him, and 2 weeks after at his uncle's house, my wife and his uncle's house, and I said, what's it like being mayor? He said, it's a lot of work. And I said, anything exciting? He said, oh yeah, I'm about to ruin my political career. And I said, what are you going to do? He said, I can't tell you, but what I can tell you is it's the right thing to do. And then on February 11th, as I'm putting my baby to bed, and Mike is, in Berkeley, we've been editing, he calls me and says, I need you down at City Hall February 12th to document the first same-sex marriage in the United States. And then Mike and I showed up. But Mike, this is the funny comment Mike has about weddings. But Mike, and then here's what Mike said.
Well, we get the phone call around 11 o'clock, and you got to remember this is 20 years ago. We got to charge our own batteries. We're actually, this whole film, and it looked really good on, whoever did all the work with the projector looks fantastic, because this was all done on mini DV. So which is astounding. The film is made 20 years ago. But back to what Geoff was saying. He said, Geoff calls me up and says, hey, we got to go down there. Gavin's asking us to do something. And we always would support Gavin. We're all born and raised in San Francisco. And the first thing I said was, hey, we don't do weddings. We thought, you finally got a career, you finally make a little pay rate, what have you. But once we got there, we got it. We got it right away. We understood what was going on. We were tossed right into the whole fray of it when we got to film Del and Phyllis's wedding. And at that point, it wasn't about anything more but the love, and the love is what really kept us going. So that's how we really got it going. But I want to say one thing about it to you guys. I mean, this is a very, very rare moment in a filmmaker's life, and I speak to all the documentary filmmakers out there in the crowd. It is very rare that you make something 20 years ago and you shelve it and you put it away and you hold it and you leave it up in the attic, and 20 years later it's coming out and it has this much bang. So for everybody who felt it and everyone who appreciated it, this was made 20 years ago, and I just wanted to put some sort of relevance to this. And so for us, we're just very excited to show it again. So here you go, sir. Thank you.
And it is really a historical document. I mean, what we're seeing there is American history, world history. I just came from Greece, and Greece just legalized same-sex marriage like weeks ago, and this is like 2024 in Greece. So this is like a global thing. Yeah, let's hear it for the Greeks. But yeah, to watch it now 20 years later, knowing what has happened in the intervening 20 years, and also knowing where we are now in the US and in the world with Gavin and with politics and everything like that. I mean, this is a tough question. How does it feel sitting watching the film now? I mean, I know as filmmakers you always look at you see, oh, I wish I'd done it differently, I wish I'd done that differently. But you must be proud of it. How does it feel now?
Well, it feels like a fine bottle of wine that we pulled out for our family and our company tonight. Everybody got to, taste something really, really good. For us, it's the relevance. We're not here for any accolades. We're not here for any awards. We're here to energize and educate people and really give people an opportunity to see what we saw. It's not what happened, it was how it happened. So for us, it's really, really, really important to get people in these seats so they can actually see it and be energized, because what we really see is what happened back then is it's a repeat, and it's happening now. The rights regression thing's happening now, and that's why we were really, really, really seeing the importance of rolling the film back out.
Yeah, what happened in San Francisco really changed the world, and to be part of this when we met these guys, it's just fake, but it was really inspiring to see that what happened, and the leadership takes very courageous leaders, but also the legal team, and we got to be part of all that. It really laid the pathway for other places, and so the film stops, but this fight continued on, and we got to be part of that too. But these guys were there for every minute, and their raw kind of live footage was filmed with so much love and courage that when we got to be part of it, we knew it wasn't about us, it's about all of us.
One thing I'd like to say before I pass the mic back is this is a very, very, very rare and special treat. We have Jeanne and Pali. Everybody, can I give it up for Jeanne and Pali? They are the documentary in the documentary. And for Christopher, and for anybody who has any sense or any feeling, you can see why we kept going. It's just amazing. But it's a treat, you guys. We don't have Jeanne and Pali all the time, although they're very big advocates. So I just want to acknowledge the fact that you guys have come out.
Yes.
This is you guys. Take the time to say hello to any of us towards the end. We are continuing, but I encourage you to come and say hello. These are the most beautiful human beings I've met along the journey. So, absolutely.
And I said that access is the key to the documentary. That's how you get to make the documentary. But what makes the documentary good is trust. If you don't have access and trust, you don't have a good documentary, I would say. So this is a question for you two, and it's fantastic that you're here. You're VIP guests of special honor tonight. the trust that you had in the filmmakers to be able to tell your story with dignity, and that's the word that is used in the film. Maybe you could speak a little bit about that and what your relationship with the filmmakers was then and afterwards.
This is gonna be
I
good.
think that's
Yeah.
good. That's good. Jeff loves this story.
Yeah.
We were at City Hall meeting with the city attorney's office because after we couldn't get married that night, right? We went back to the house. There was a wedding cake that nobody cut. There was catered food. There were all our friends, didn't know whether to bring the presents in the house or not, right? They took them back to the car, then they put them in the corner. And somewhere around midnight, Pali, Christopher, and I were just sitting there and we checked the answering machine. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
And there were ACLU, Lambda Legal, NCLR, they were calling to ask us to be plaintiffs. So the very next morning, we were in court being plaintiffs in the marriage case that we stuck with then for 4 years. So we're in City Hall, meeting with city attorney, and Jeff, he's got khaki shorts, baseball cap backwards, right? You know, yeah, he comes.
Straight guy.
And he's a straight guy, and he goes, "Hey, I'm making a movie." I said, "You're making the game?" and he's like, "Yeah, you want to?" And he goes, "Yeah, my partner, Mike." And I'm like, "Oh, these guys are making the gay marriage film, right?" I said, "Well, they showed us just 10 minutes of your footage. I fell in love with you both." And we said, these guys are real. They're the real deal, and they really care. And our friendship and love over the last 20 years is unrequited. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And they were so sensitive. And then I want to pass it to Polly as well, because one of the key, what they brought out in our son and for our son, right? For him to, when you came to the house and the three of you went in the living room and closed the door, you were there for a long time, and they all came out with tears in their eyes. I thought, Christopher could trust you with this painful moment in his life as a young man. That was it. We knew that they were sacred people, and we're truly privileged to have worked with them.
But that is a good point, because when we were standing there and got turned down and all the media is there, and it wasn't all wanting to tell the true story. A lot of it sensationalized, and it was horrific actually. It was a terrifying sense, because not all the stories were really sensitively told with people's individual lives. It was more sensationalized. So that was their trust was huge.
I think that is a great point, because the media, we've seen the way that the media has developed in the last 20 years, and this is why we need documentary cinema, because documentary cinema, you make it over a period of months or years, and you're able to get the balance, and it's definitely needed now as much as it was then. But the film just feels so contemporary. I mean, there's a line about cultural conservatives playing politics, which is like. We think, oh, everything's happening now, but this was 20 years ago. This was already there.
A lot of big words.
Yeah, well, you chose the right words. But some of the words that stuck out for me, and as an outsider, I'm a British person. We have a special relationship with America. America can be a very frustrating friend. Let's put it like that. But there's a line in the film where it says the system works. And the legal channels are there, and Gavin showed the way that the law can be changed and people can make a difference. I mean, do you still feel like the system works? You have faith in the system going forward?
Well, I tell you what. I think if you want to pass this to me, I think that there's really one man who could really talk about this, and that's Hank Plante, because he's been a political reporter and a reporter for years. He's been in the city following really around. Back in the day before Harvey Milk did anything. So, Hank, why don't you take this question? Because
I wouldn't take it for granted. I mean, you already have members of the United States Supreme Court questioning the legalization of same-sex marriage now, when they made the abortion ruling.
Right.
I wouldn't take it for granted. I'll tell you a secret. I covered this.
turn the cameras off.
No, sorry. I'm fine with it now because I'm retired. But I think I was the first openly gay TV reporter in the country. And so I covered all of this.
Yes, you would.
But I was working for a mainstream television station, so I had to be fair and objective and all that. So in the middle of covering it, my then partner, now he's my husband, we snuck down to Palm Springs and got married in City Hall with the clerk. Then we went out for burgers and didn't tell anybody. And so this was very, very personal to me. But anyway, that's kind of my fondest memory. This is such a wonderful film. I mean, it just brought so much back.
How about for you when you were back there in 2004 reporting all this? What's your perspective on that whole thing?
It was just one of the greatest stories, and I mean a story that went on for years, that I've ever covered. I was telling Jeff and Mike this today at lunch that you know, the mayor before, Gavin Newsom, was the most exciting politician in America, Willie Brown. Okay, on a dull news day, all I had to do was grab a photographer, one of our videos, and let's go find the mayor, there's nothing going on. I would stick a mic in his face, and he would say something outrageous, and I'd have the lead story. Okay, so Gavin Newsom gets elected, and all of us in the press corps in City Hall kind of all felt the same way, and we talked about it, which is, he seems like a nice guy, he seems competent, he's this boring white guy, he's going to be dull for 4 years. We're not going to have anything coming out of this building to report on for 4 years and maybe 8 years. 5 weeks later, we had every satellite truck in America in front of San Francisco City Hall because Gavin wakes up and says, oh yeah, we should treat gays and lesbians equally. And that went on for years and years and years until 2008 when we had the rest of the rulings. Anyway, I've talked enough.
Yeah, keep talking. Keep
That's
talking.
great.
You did this for a living. This is great. I feel like I'm watching you on TV right now. This is great. Waiting for the commercial.
I'm really honored to be here, but this is your night, so please.
No, it's not. It's our night. That's
Let
this
us
is
know
this is everybody's night.
how thankful we are that you are here as well. I mean, literally, we knew throughout the whole time as filmmakers, and I'll bring it back to the filmmakers because, I mean, we're at a film festival.
Can't hear you.
I said, I'm going to bring it back to the filmmakers because this is a film festival. Every morning, we didn't know what was coming or where it was going.
And we had no money.
And well, we had no money, but literally, it is not your standard doc where someone's speaking and then you take their words and then you go ahead and you put B-roll on what's happening. This thing just kept ripping left, ripping right. It's a stay. A lot of the stuff you guys saw, everything actually is first takes. It is very rare to see that much real reaction behind the scenes, in the chambers. We were flies on the wall. This unprecedented access is what we feel is probably one of the biggest gifts that we can give to our viewers. Because how often do you see City Hall or city government in action? So take it, how you want, but for us, it is a gift to have the opportunity to be trusted, but on the backside, be able to show it and see what really happens. Because, I mean, and what about, real quick, what about the marriages when the two girls were signing? I mean, that just, it's just these moments. It is what, as documentary filmmakers, kept us going. That was the gas. I mean, we fell in love with love, and we used our cameras for good. We didn't try to make something. Everybody thinks it's going to be this big, sensational kind of documentary, which is a big promo for Gavin. But it's about Jeanne and Pali. It's about, I mean, it's yeah, exactly. And that's what we're the most proud of. Literally, we're here to get people energized, but at the same time, we feel so good to stand next to you guys and be some sort of visual helping hand.
But also, exactly. But also, what's important is, as Gavin said, as we all feel, it's almost more important today to see this film as 20 years ago. And so there's a generational gap. We've talked to a bunch of you in the theater and you guys, that our younger kids have to see it. There's a story about Peter Ragone, who's the press secretary, the guy who's always going like this. And he's eating a sandwich, he's phenomenal, one of my best friends, and but he was doing this he was working for Gavin, and he was single and just believed in this cause, believed in this event, and in doing this. And so we did a screening at USC, and Peter was there, and we brought him up, and he spoke, and his son's a freshman at USC, and he, first time publicly announced that his son was gay, and he had no idea that what he was doing 20 years ago would have such an importance on his life and his son's life. And Mike was there, and we were all there. The kid was like, couldn't believe his dad. This is you on TV supporting me. Like, Peter believed it before he even knew he had a son or he knew he had a gay son. It doesn't make a difference if you're gay or straight. This is like, this is a civil rights struggle. And it's what the thing is, like, today we have to share this with people. I think there's, maybe 1,400 people maybe this year in the last 20 years have seen this film. And so we encourage people to help support it, donate to it, or if you have an organization, let's go screen it to people. Who can you teach? Our whole message has always been, there are those who are for it, those who are against it. But they're the people who are on the fence, who are like, whatever. But when you put a face on it, your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle. And that's who you want to reach, the younger generation. Like, my kids grew up as babies. My daughter was in the film. She's the one toddling around Dad's office. But they were there with us when I was marrying people. My wife Hillary was marrying people. Mike was marrying people. We were all marrying people. So we grew up in that entire. The City Hall was a different place. That's how our family grew up. But we have to teach those people who don't see this. I watch this every single time I see it. I cry. I sit in the back corner. I just don't want to talk to anybody, and I bawl. It's like you're watching Shawshank Redemption. Two of these movies, I love them. Two of those movies, man, I tell you, they got me every time. Come on. But back to your point. First, I want to thank Teddy has at AmDocs and has been a supporter of ours. A friend of ours, mine and Hillary's for years, and I'm so appreciative to be here with AmDocs. And I just thankful you guys are here to see it too. And we would love your support, your help, any suggestions. How can we educate people? And to come here and see Hank Plante, are you kidding me? The OG of the fucking recording. Sorry for the swear words of San Francisco, and you got Jeanne, Rizzo, Pali Cooper, and who what do you say you are? It's unfortunate Dylan Phillips passed away, but you say you're the next Dylan Phillips?
We're now the oldest living lesbians, I hate to say.
Hank's gonna do a fact check.
Right. No, it's a privilege to carry forth anything that they were involved in and that they started. And we had no idea that moment would be ours. But, when we were obviously knowing that it was stopped and made the decision to go to the counter, there's a civil rights leader from the group Sweet Honey in the Rock, Bernice Regan. For any of you who don't know who she is, go find her music. But I worked with Bernice for a long time, and she always said, you have to stand in and be denied. You have to, right? Whenever there's an injustice, you have to put a face on it. And that was in the back of my mind. We couldn't just, couples were turning away, and they were obviously upset and leaving City Hall. And we thought, no, somebody's got to stand up. And I felt bad for the clerk, right? The poor guy. The last thing he wanted to do was formally turn us down. Yeah. But it felt like such an important moment, and it was such a coming of age for our son. You see how he has to decide to come forth. And that was a real incredible moment and a bonding for us that is just, it's amazing.
Well, it was really fun we got to watch it for the first time in 20 years at Castro a month ago or something, and Christopher came out for it. And it was wonderful because one of the things that he said, watching it 20 years, all this time later, and now being older, and what a healing it was for him. And that this, being able to screen it with the audience like this, was very healing. And so that's another wonderful thing about filmmaking, because it comes full circle. And just like we just said, this isn't over. These rights, we can't take anything for granted. But the fact that we were able to step in and have that experience, and our story be told with such dignity.
I do have a question for you, Mike, because you're co-directors, of course, of the film, but you're the editor of the film. And again, to make a great documentary, you need access, trust, and a good editor. So hats off to Mike for doing that.
Yes.
100%. scenes like the incredible run down the corridor and things like this. So maybe can you go back into your memory vault and remind and just look back at what the editing experience was? Because you must have had like hours and endless hours of footage. You know, you've got filmmakers here. What was the ratio? Can you get into the sort of the basics of what the editing was?
Yeah, the basics were, well, the foundation of it was to capture without being obtrusive first and foremost, and to stay the course, literally. Be the first crew out there, film all day, and hold it that night. We had debriefs with Jeff and myself, figuring out and trying to sort out the days to figure out where the stories could come from, because this couldn't be scripted, because we didn't know what was coming and where it was going. So this is a whole different kind of equation. When we started to have a column of people that we felt were interesting, a lot of them were nixed in the edits, even though I can start things, but they didn't have the continuity because a lot of people who we felt were great characters left. Remember, Gavin said there was 4,000 couples, but they came from everywhere. So as much as we loved them, a lot of them, we only had short amounts of footage. So how could we character build? You know, I mean, there's Molly McKay, you've got Jeanne and Pali, you've got what's going on inside of Gavin's office, how it's affecting the people, and then the courts. So we started to talk, and Jeff and I figured out, like, let's try to rock it like a triangle, like a trilogy. So what was happening in the office, and how they were strategizing, to how it affected people, from how it affected people, shot to the courts, and so we kept trying to rock it, and what I mean by rocket is moving it like a Rubik's Cube, moving it, because if you stayed on any one part too long, it felt too long and it kind of lagged. So as an editor, that was the strategy. But again, every time something new came in, it just changed the whole equation. I was really impressed with the ending, with the we won, and how we captured all that with the devices and everything. It was Blackberries, it was like flip phones and everything. For all of us who know about that, that was real. You gotta remember, this is before YouTube, this is before Instagram, this is before all this social media. Yeah, iPhones and everyone walking around shooting this. We were the guys. But I got most of the feedback from Jeff because I would put it together and Jeff would look and just like, it doesn't work, does it not work? Is it real, is it not real? Is it too long or is it not too long? It was literally, I was the hands, but I definitely want to let everyone know that Jeff's mind and Jeff's relentless quest to keep it real was a big part of it, and I feel like that's a part of the rawness. So I take credit, but I definitely share it with Jeff.
Well, let me give you a Okay, this is like, unfortunately, Jeanne and Pali, we drove over today, and Mike and I were bickering like an old couple. We didn't even have a disc for your camera. Didn't you buy an SD scan? You had 3 days to buy it before you got on the plane. Well, I thought I had 5 hours. I had 5 minutes. Whose fault's that? I got a rental car, and we got to go to the screening, and so it's like this, and they're in the back seat, and I'm like driving like there's no traffic, and I almost killed us 4 times, and so Jeanne's like, don't worry about us. It's so true. So with that being said, we are brothers from another mother. We're on the spice rack, salt and pepper, and I love them to death. You know, we've been spending Christmas together for 20 years, and although Mike's gone through a few women, I think he found the one there now. But with that being said,
perfect time to bring that up, right?
Yeah. Hey, yeah, exactly. Yeah, interesting. Oh, I thought about that. Interesting. So, but it's a dance, and we even had Jeanne and Pali over a couple times when we first building a relationship, when we were courting them, and showed them what we wanted to do, and you came to the studio, and it was great. And so it is a thing. Like, Mike is a phenomenal editor. I say I'm like a sous chef, and he's the chef. I can pull things out that I think are interesting and say, here's blue, here's red, here's yellow, and there's a bin for everything here. And then Mike will just, and I'll be there, but you just let him do his thing. It's like you just sit there and it's magical to watch Mike work because you can't even, it's like the mind of John Malkovich. It's like any editor. If you're an editor, you know, just leave me alone. I'm going to figure it out.
because Mike will like hear a pin drop, and then add this song, and then it's amazing. So it's kudos to you. I mean, it's a team effort, but you know I couldn't do jack without this guy right here.
We're a team. I mean, I just want to speak again to
Closer, Mike.
I just want to speak again to the filmmakers and the people who have this this quest or this understanding with themselves that they have something to say, and that's the reason why they pick up a camera in the first place. And you know you pick it up because you feel like you can do it. You feel like you can tell the story. And all I can tell you is it's all about reps. It's all about continuing your craft. It's about sharpening your knife, and it's continuing to break it down and to tell those stories. And
Right. But with that said, and Hank will agree, but what Mike has told me is that whatever you do, try to be steady. And try to give me 5 minutes in the front end, 5 seconds in the front end, and just hold it and give me 5 seconds in the back end, because I need to edit the shit. And if you're breathing in it and going like this, you know, with the camera, you know, it makes it really hard for an editor. So Mike early on was like, here's my question. I need you to do this. Lean forward, hold your breath, and just shoot. And don't move. And then you can. So, yeah. For all the swimmers out there, be steady.
so, but again, it's just about telling that story, getting that story right.
I wanted to say that this is, what you've done is so important because this is history, and no one knows this history. And you know, because of my job and because I've been on TV, I have for the last few years wound up speaking in front of younger audiences, a lot of gay people, lesbian people. They don't know.
Right.
They don't know how hard it was. I mean, come on, I'm not the only older person in Palm Springs, right? You know what I'm talking about. They don't know. They don't know. I mean, I remember a time when we were illegal. Okay, that only changed in California in 1976. I just wrote a column about it, thanks to Willard Brown and George Moscone and Jared Brown. So what you've done is you have recorded history, so now they will know.
You mentioned the Browns and Moscone there, and we do have a chance for the audience to ask a question, but I will ask this last one about San Francisco. And you know, you're all from San Francisco, natives, and you know, generations of people in San Francisco. This film is kind of a tribute to San Francisco because it's like, you know, this was the city that did it. Maybe you could all speak about what San Francisco means to you and the energy that the city gives and the community that the city gives. And as I say, this is for everybody.
Please.
Yeah, really quick. You're from New York.
And I'm from New York, but I moved to California, moved to San Francisco, and just felt immediately like it was home. Like the San Francisco Bay Area just resonated for me. I felt just all the freedom to be whoever I wanted to be, and the opportunities, and the progressive politics, and the infighting. I love that too. I love the debates that go on in San Francisco. They're substantive. They're about real issues, you know. And Hank, we followed you, and you followed us. And I remember you're catching us along the way to one of the courts, and this was a guy that you'd be willing to give your interview to. And then that wasn't true for everybody, right? That wasn't true. But I think San Francisco means something forward, something greater than, something bolder. And you know, I worked for a nonprofit in San Francisco. I had a nightclub in San Francisco for a long time. Got like a weird resume, but you felt like you could do that. The entrepreneurial spirit is very much alive there. The opportunity to do something different and bold is there. So that's what appeals to me about the whole Bay Area, but San Francisco in particular. And I know it's a tough time right now, but the essence, the core of that city is still there.
I mean, my older sister moved to San Francisco from LA, and my mother would say all hell broke loose, you know, it was the 60s, 70s. And there was always like advancing some new idea. And I think that, you know, living near, we don't live in the city, we live near the city, but it's about, you know, promise and about advancing and about stepping up. And I think having somebody as bold and courageous as the mayor was at that time just speaks to that. And then it makes other people feel a little bit more courageous and a little bit more willing to step out of their comfort zone, which is what I think we all need to do sometimes, especially now, because you can't take anything for granted.
One other thing, I worked for a breast cancer nonprofit at the time, and breast cancer is nonpartisan. And there were donors from the right, the left, the middle. This was all about a disease that affects all of us, right? It knows no politics. So when we decided to be plaintiffs, I called the board and said, you'll have to have an emergency meeting because we're going to be plaintiffs, and that could impact donations. That could impact how the organization is viewed. The board got together. I stepped out of the room. I said, you need to be in executive session. I think it took them 4 minutes, 8 minutes, I don't remember, and they came out unanimously supporting it because we are a San Francisco-based organization. Of course we're going to do that. So, you know, it's now Breast Cancer Prevention Partners, and we did lose some donors. And then we had others call, and one guy called me, a Republican. He said, how's it going? I said, it's a little tough right now. He said, how much money has been withdrawn? And at that point, it was like, this 20 years ago, it was a $10,000 donor. He said, I'll double it. He said, because we have to stand with the health and well-being of all people. And that includes, and there's a higher incidence of breast cancer amongst lesbians, but the point was that I don't know that that would have happened in other cities. Colleagues of mine around the country said, I don't know if our organization would have done that. But being a San Francisco-based organization, how could you not? So I think that probably speaks most clearly to what San Francisco means for me.
So, there is a reason Silicon Valley happened there. Okay? San Francisco has always been crazy and open to it. And so from the original 49ers, the gold miners, they were nuts, who came out west, through the hippies, the beatniks, the summer of love, gay liberation, same-sex marriage, San Francisco has been open to this kind of nutty creativity. A guy like Steve Jobs could go to work barefoot, smelling, and that wouldn't happen in Boston or New York. But it happened there. And so there is a culture of creativity there that I've never seen anywhere else on the planet. Still.
Let's hope it continues. This is San Francisco. Maybe Mike, maybe as the last thing before we give it to the audience, as filmmakers in San Francisco, there's a support, there is community. You know, we hear about Coppola, the big names, but independent filmmaking.
Which direction do you want me to go with that?
Positive.
Okay. Well, I wanted to say this because I'm born and raised in San Francisco, and I wanted to speak on what we always used to say. We grew up in a great place. We grew up in the best place in the best time, and I still believe that to the day. I wanted to reflect really quickly on what it felt like to be a native San Franciscan, to see my mayor and my whole city and county staff fighting for the people and being out there in the streets and feeling all the love, which is by far the most love I've ever felt in the city that I was born and raised during those times in City Hall during those marriages. And I can tell you that it has left me just speechless about who I am, where I come from, and it also strengthened me that anything is possible. So.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. It's a great point. And I had the pleasure to see Geoff Callan's movie last night. Amazing film. And he talks about how Ukraine stood together and to fight with each other and to protect their city. And Sean Penn had said that it was amazing for him to see Ukrainians not leaving the city, citizens grabbing guns and protecting themselves. And it's very similar to what happened for San Francisco. I'm not going to compare what's going on with Ukraine with what's going on with this issue, but San Francisco at that point stood together. It was everything happens in San Francisco. We were proud to be. I'm still proud to be San Francisco, fifth generation. But back then it was like that. Everybody.
Yeah.
There was Mike and I would joke, we're like, where are the protesters for this marriage equality movement? We had to go to Philadelphia to film the guys from Repent America. So you're right, Mike. It's a proud city. Everything starts there from Silicon Valley to everything else. And I know people criticize San Francisco, but there's such a pride of ownership. And never believe everything you see in the news. But it's a phenomenal city.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that whole time was the one time as a filmmaker that we had an opportunity to turn our camera and our lenses for good. And boy, did it feel good doing it, right? I mean, we really just, like you said, we stood up to the call. We stood in solidarity with all the couples. We immersed ourselves in all this love. That was our fuel. And I just know that all the stuff and all this things that we do in our whole career and stuff, this will always hold a very special spot because we did it for love and we used our cameras for good.
And we had no idea at the time where this would happen.
Yeah, look where we're at tonight and what's come of it. And if you guys felt that in the movie, it's because it was real. I mean, these are my sisters now. We are family. We do love each other. And there were so many things that we gained for actually turning our lenses and using our camera skills and our editing skills for good.
And producing skills.
Yeah.
And you were the producer, Geoff, so congratulations to you. Now it's whoa, the record. I've never seen hands fly. The microphone is coming to you so we can hear every word that you say. Thank you for being the first.
And really quick, is it recording?
Yes, it is. Red light's blinking.
Okay. Look at Layden. How you doing, buddy? He's the face of the film festival doing all the social media, everybody.
And to everybody for the AmDocs, who's helping.
Exactly.
Everybody who's volunteering, everybody who's opening a door and serving a drink at the bar.
They just can't help it. They're editing, they're making, they take hold of the camera. So yeah, praise to Layden and praise to our first question.
All right, so I imagine this might have been a little bit like I've always heard that wildlife documentary people, they can't, they're just there to film what goes on and not to interfere too much, right? But I have a question. One of the exhilarating scenes was when the Holy Rollers come in and they've got their song. But then all the couples standing in line, they start singing the national anthem.
Right.
How could you resist not to join in? Did you sing? How long did that singing go on? And obviously, they were better singers with the national anthem. But how long did that singing go on?
Well, the singing itself and those parts right there.
Well, think about it, Mike. When we were with Christopher, before you answer that question.
Well,
When we were with Christopher.
I was going to tell them the whole slant of first and foremost, we tried the way that we kept it going. We wanted to capture without being obtrusive, and that's a big part of it. That's what gave us the opportunity to continue getting access.
Yeah.
If we capture without being obtrusive, without injecting ourselves into it, we felt that it would be more transparent. I mean, there's small parts in the film, like when all of a sudden I'm like, how's the day? And he's like, rainy. And I'm like, shut up. Like, just keep filming and let other people, we're not leaving. I mean, like, I'm right there. And when Reverend Mark at the end, freedom will come. I mean, like, I wanted to, but like, it was one of those things. I mean, literally, it's to hold. It's to capture without being obtrusive, because the essence of the truth, without it being tarnished or tainted or just altered, it's the purest form that you can actually reproject or actually put in the edit. So as much as it's hard in interviews as well.
No, I agree. Because I think that it's when we filmed in Prevent America, we wanted to also get their side of the story, and if we're seen as being supporting another side, although we were, we didn't want to blatantly show them, because I wanted to get their perspective, right? And the one thing when we interviewed Christopher, you know, when we came out crying, when we were talking to him, the hardest part was just to really ask the question, listen, hold the pause, let him process it, and then see what happens. So it's kind of like if you call somebody and say, hey, I want a date, and the person's looking at you like, you're like, well, why should I say something? You just listen. So when Christopher was talking, Mike has the camera, and we were crying. And we were like, trying to you know, I'm next to the mic. We had to like hold our breath and not look like we're like bawling behind the camera. You know, we wanted to capture him. So with Repent America, we had to just kind of capture without being obtrusive, just listen as much as we wanted to. I mean, we went back to Repent America in Philadelphia and followed him around, and the police stopped Mike was with them, and they arrested Mike, which was great. I have it on video, it's awesome. But I pulled him out of the paddy wagon.
It was a real big thing of when we ran up against Repent America. I mean, all we can say is like, who are you and why are you here? At that point, we couldn't answer for them or poke it any one way or the other. I mean, just like when we saw these groups in Sacramento who were on their stump and saying what they wanted and their reaction or what have you. It's very difficult, but we feel the importance of that to show the contrast and to also bring a view to our viewers here of how and what these other people are doing and what they look like and how they're acting.
But also, what's interesting, Mike, is that we not to sound naive, but we grew up with the LGBT community being part of our lives, right? My best friend, my cousin, it's normal. And so, but we probably were pretty uneducated on the issue. What do you mean you guys can't get married? Really? You mean you can't do this? Well, I had no idea. So we were the naive people, the naive straight guys going, wait, I don't understand. You can't do this. So for us to be in these rooms, we also were probably the most uneducated people in the room to ask. It was really hard to ask the right question to get the right answer. That's why, like with Hank and listening to Hidden and Jeanne and Pali and anybody else, just to listen, because was that true? What do you say about that, Jeanne? I'm not saying we're idiots, but we used some new territory for us. We didn't even know what we were getting into.
I wouldn't have called you an idiot at all.
Not on camera.
But you were really open to hearing the story of it and the truth of it. And that made the difference. You didn't, you know, when they talk about all the rights that we didn't have, you asked us to tell you what some of them were.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, here we are, we're seniors now. Being married allows us to have different rights with each other in terms of, you know, if one of us, you know,
Yeah.
where does the house go? Who has to pay taxes? Think about Edie Windsor. And you've all followed that case, right? Where, you know, her partner passed after 50 years. They got married real quickly up in Canada, but it wasn't recognized. And they got a $300,000 tax bill for, you know, then that case went to the Supreme Court. So all those things you took for granted in your marriage, and so you asked Christopher, what was it like? And he talks about he was in middle school, and there was a kind of, Polly's our new housemate, right? That's how you talk about it. Get to high school, and he would ask us, do you hold hands when you go in the city? Is it safe? Because now he was aware of gay bashing, right? He's in high school, he hears the language, and he wanted to know, were we safe? Then he gets to college, and it's a chick magnet to have lesbian moms. You know? Everybody presumes that he must be a really cool guy, right? But just that journey, that you had no idea about that experience until you spent time with him, and so you opened yourself.
I wish I knew more lesbians in high school.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I want to bring back one point when Geoff came back, because Geoff brought up a point, and I need to share this, and I haven't said this in a long time.
Oh shoot.
Well, Geoff, one day you came back, and because we were trying to learn as much as we wanted to know more. We didn't know more, but Geoff says we're idiots, but we care, right? But we care, and that's what it was. We're idiots, but we care, and the fact that we cared is, you know. So I mean, no matter what we didn't know. Everything was a journey
Right.
to learn more and to be more effective and to create a better bond and a better alliance.
Obviously, we're up to
but-
speed now.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
Almost.
ignorant, but we care. There you go.
There was a hand, the microphone is coming to. Let me quick, thank you.
I think that was the difference.
yeah, we care. I love that. That's right.
What, go from idiot to ignorant? I mean,
So we care.
We have the second question from the
Okay,
audience.
yeah. First of all, fantastic documentary, truly amazing. I learned so much about a subject. I had many friends that went through getting married after this all happened, but I had no idea how it all came about and how it all happened. And I'm wondering, what was your reaction when in 2015, June 26, 2015, when the Supreme Court in the 5-4 decision actually made it into law? And did you ever want to ever put like a pin on the end of the film? Because watching it, I'm going, I know it's law, but I'm wondering how long it took from that point to that point. And each state, one by one, would kind of make it happen. But it was a long, arduous thing from like 2008 until 2015.
Right, well,
So-
because we got married in September of 2008, in that window when it was open between May, and we knew Prop 8 was on the ballot. And we could not believe Prop 8 would pass. I mean, that was, we were all at
Well,
the
especially after
hotel.
4 years of going through court cases.
Court cases,
And
right.
going to the Supreme Court and winning. It's like,
Yeah.
now there's gonna be Prop 8, like, okay.
And those our marriages, the 11,000 or so of us that got married between 2000 and, in that window, the May till November, then we're on this marriage island, right? So then 2008 Prop 8 happens, and it was just a weird disconnect. It was hard to feel the same amount of joy and pride because no one else could do it until the rest of those cases went through. So, we went to DC with Dianne Feinstein to advocate at that time for the repeal of DOMA, which wound up the Edie Windsor case, pretty much took care of that. But all those years of waiting for it to be final, it was just amazing.
Well, because if you think about it, we were legally married, but then we weren't recognized with the federal government. So
Right.
you file your taxes like you're married. You're married in California.
I think it's not here. Try that one.
That is
They're
right.
not working.
That one's
Sorry.
full school.
But this was actually for the filmmakers. I'm wondering whether or not you ever wanted to put
Yeah,
any
they
kind
do.
of a,
Yeah.
Yes.
kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
a
Oh, yeah.
crawl on, at the end or a pin on the
Yeah,
end of the
exactly.
film.
So again, like we said, we pulled this thing out of the vault from 20 years ago. This was a treat. What you guys
Just to do the 20th anniversary.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Now,
was gonna say.
But it's
yeah.
so relevant. It's so relevant. It's so
It is
relevant
so
today.
relevant.
So it's just congratulations.
thank you.
But
Thank
to
you.
your point, we do, yes, our plan is to do a 2.0, is to
Transition it, yeah.
transition to a new film that covers 2002-ish, maybe back to, we were talking earlier today about, Willie Brown. He
Yeah.
did stuff before Harvey Milk, right? And then go to 2024 where we can cover a lot of this stuff. But it's really difficult as a filmmaker, as you can imagine. That's what we love at other set of eyes, is that I love this film. But we do need to update it to the current state.
At least
You're right.
2015.
This is one of the problems you find when you make something 20 years ago and you put it up on screen and people are like, okay, now what about the new ending, right? I mean, and for us, I mean, we love it and we're
You don't
very,
need to redo the whole film.
We get
It's still
that.
effective exactly the way it is. It's just, by the end of it, I'm going, so when did they actually
Right.
make this?
Yeah,
film? And
Me
that's
too,
what-
me too.
Yeah,
us as
exactly.
well.
Exactly.
And that's where, I mean, to be quite honest, I mean, to finish this work is why we are seeking completion funds and that we're actually, getting together with more knowledgeable people to actually put the fitting ending to it. So, I mean, literally,
Exactly.
to be continued.
Visit PursuitOfQuality.com, look at the document brochure, there's a donation.
But literally, to be continuing to give it its justice on the backside.
But even with that happening, that's why as we do this and work towards completing or adding new ending, why wait? that's why we're doing screenings at LMU and Singapore and Bermuda and in Greece and other places to educate people. So we're not stopping. We're going to show this film to anybody who wants to see it. People can take it, use it for their own organization as a fundraiser. You know, so if you know somebody who wants to show it, let us know. We'll do a fundraiser for you, with us, whatever. And let's teach these people, educate these people. And with the ballot, you know, with the election coming up, I think that it's important that we all understand our history. So
Yeah,
You showed the Congress?
because we captured it, you
show
know.
the Congress exactly. I know, right? I know. Mark, who's going to show it to Jill Biden coming up? One of you guys there.
Do I have another question
There he
from
is.
the audience? Was another hand?
Yeah, way over here.
Oh, yeah, really quick.
Microphone is coming. Thank you.
Yeah, more than a question, it's just what I saw was just incredible. I landed in Hollywood 55 years ago, and my wife was in a gay community, so I learned so much from all her friends. But this is so beyond. That's
Wait, time out. Pepe, you understand, this is Pepe Serna, who's a huge TV actor, film actor, was in Scarface. His film's coming out, so it means a lot to me that he's even mentioning this. So Pepe, come here. Hey, come on over here. He's the guy, well, you know, from Medicaid, he's the guy that got carved up with a chainsaw in Scarface. Have a seat. But he's also done many more things. Have a seat.
No, it's just amazing that we have a film here on Sunday about immigration. And my friend, that's the director, David Damien Figueroa, was one of the lucky ones that got to get married in that little space. But he's been with Mexican American Legal Defense Fund, AARP, but that immigration story is this story.
Yeah.
And I've been in Hollywood. I've done 100 movies, 300 TV shows, but you know what? I always hated the idea of stardom because there are no extras in life, and that's everybody. Excuse my French, but everybody's a star fucker. You know, you go to a party and they're looking over your shoulder to see who's more important that's going to be coming in. You know, and we're all guilty. We like the stars.
No, we don't. I
You know?
like Pepe.
Yeah. But anyway,
More stars, yeah.
but what I'm trying to say is that this is just so incredible, man. The job that you guys did, and then with you ladies, it's just phenomenal. All the things to watch it going, and what Gavin Newsom did, and what everybody did, though, and all the people that were associated were people from San Francisco smell different. You know, I mean, it's really, it's just a different vibe altogether. You know, LA is got a lot of it, but it's still not San Francisco, and it's just amazing.
Hey,
So,
Pepe, tell us
but
tomorrow.
thank you.
What time tomorrow is your screening?
I think it's on Sunday.
Sunday.
And it's called Shura, and she's from the Bay Area, and she was from Berkeley, and she had homeless camps, and now they're in Green Valley, Arizona, with the Good Samaritan Church, and there's 300 Caucasian 70 and 80-year-olds that are the ones who are going daily to the border to bring food and water to the immigrants that not necessarily that are coming over yet, not when I was there, that I got to see, but they bring them that every day, and these people are just like, it's really what you know, Christianity is supposed to be about, because that's what we're fighting in Washington, all these Christians that are not Christians at all. I mean, that's not anyway. But what you guys did, that synergy that you had in creating this, along with everybody else that was there, was just really amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pepe. Thank you.
Oh, one last thing. If you have Apple TV, my documentary on my life is on there. I've been performing since I was 3, and I had a family and friends that were always encouraging. So always encourage everybody to continue. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
what I love, man. It's just like
Oh.
supporting.
So he started when he was 3, so he's now celebrating 50 years in show business. Give it a round of applause. We might have time for one last question because we do have to keep it out.
Okay, once again, I want to thank the Stumble Foundation for supporting us.
Thanks to the Stumble Foundation. So these wonderful people are going to be in the lobby. They're going to be around. One last thing before we go, I've got to say thank you to everybody on behalf of AmDocs. It's been an amazing privilege to be on stage with people like you. It's so inspiring. I said that you needed access, trust, and editing. You also need love to make a great documentary, and that is flowing. The energy is flowing here. But I'm going to say all of your names: Geoff, Pepe, Hank, Jeanne, Pali, and Mike. Give them a big round of applause.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming.